What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Bearcat Den. It's Michael.
And Victoria back again with your weekly sports podcast covering NBA, NFL, MLB, and any other sports leagues.
Let's jump right in. So, the New York Yankees play tonight. They're already up 2-0 against the Guardians. They played on Monday, and the score was 5-2 Yankees. And on Tuesday, they played against the Guardians at Yankee Stadium, and the final score was 6-3. Now tonight, they're back in Cleveland, and hopefully to take home Game 3. Clark Schmidt's on the mound tonight for the Yankees, and Matthew Boyd is on the mound tonight for the Guardians. I think that they're going to win. I truly believe that they go 4-0, in my opinion. Judge came out of his slump last game. He crushed a home run, finally, and that's what we needed from him. Garrett Cole was decent for a solid 2 innings last game, and then it went haywire from there. But again, we still came away with the victory. So for tonight's lineup, I think that the Yankees will win. Opinion, what do you think?
I agree. Everything that you just said, and also I've seen a lot of people say that one key difference between the Yankees this year and the Yankees last year is the way Weaver has been pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some that are oh, he's a completely new pitcher now, he's fine-tuned things, and I think that does play a critical role in how they've been performing and how they're going to continue to perform.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And I feel like that this season he's became one of the much better closers in the league, and especially during playoffs. He came in big when we needed him most.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not on the mound tonight again, right? Or is it Ian Hamilton? I think Ian Hamilton is coming into close, I think, or at least he should be, in my opinion. One issue that I have with the Yankees is that I don't know why the Yankees are batting Austin Wells in the 5-hole. I think he should move. I think he should be moved down in the lineup, personally, and I think Volpe should move up, or Rizzo, considering they had a great game last game, both going 2 for 3. And I also think Jazz Chisholm should also be moved down a little bit in the lineup, and even same with Verdugo, move him up a little bit. Try and play around with the bottom half of the roster, I feel because I like Stanton in the 5-hole. I just don't think Wells plays well in the 4-hole. So I do like Glaber leading off. I like Soto second. I like Judge third. But I think that's one thing that they should do in order to help their situations at bat. Maybe they get in some sort of rhythm. I feel like this. I know that, not that I know that, but I feel that the Yankees are going to win either way. But just to clean it up a little bit would be nice, all things considering.
Yeah, because if you even compare it to past lineups, just there's not a consistency. There is in the first 3 expected, but I feel after that in the bottom, I get playing around with it. Obviously, you want to find what works, but inconsistency also affects things. I feel having a lineup that you can actually track, okay, whatever, not constantly wondering what 2/3 of the lineup is gonna be.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. But the thing is that it's also a guessing game if that second. I don't even think it's the second half of the lineup. I think it's just the middle of the lineup.
I think if they're going to produce after Wells, you're almost guaranteed it's going to go Torres, Soto, Judge, and then it's a 50-50. Sometimes if it's Wells, but then after that, so that's kind of half.
I mean, listen, I think Stanton's been on fire recently, and obviously it's one off game. But like I said before, I do like Stanton in that 5-hole. So
I do too.
But again, like, if you play around a little bit with it, I think there's a lot more potential that can happen over there, and make the win a lot more easier than what it needs to be.
Yeah, and I also feel like, I guess, like, kind of what I was trying to say is you can't figure out what works if you only stick with it for one game.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you only run that lineup one time and never again touch it, how are you gonna really know, like, if it was that game or if it's, like, that actually doesn't work? I guess that's, like, my point. Like, I feel like they should stick with things for, like, a little longer before changing it up.
I agree. So do you think that they should go one more game with the same lineup, and then if they lose tonight, let's say, switch it up, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, because I always say that because they're always switching it up anyways.
Like, I mean, that's because of injury majority of the time, but.
Yes, this is true. Like, you have to adapt. I get that. But I would definitely say, like, if you're able to, and, like, the players you're losing aren't injured, like, you have the same players, I would just keep it for, like, another week, like, knowing they're gonna keep switching it up. I would run a trial longer than, like, one game.
I mean, listen, you really don't have a week in this situation because it's in the playoffs. If it was still regular season, if it was still in the regular season, I would say, yeah, definitely, but now it's game by game now, so.
Well, yeah, regular season, I would say a week, but, like, now, I would still give it one more game.
Okay, that's fair.
Even in playoffs, I would give it one more game because, like, how do you really know?
No, I agree. I mean, I also feel like that our pitching has been alright, but I think Stroman not being in, like, the bullpen, I feel like, is a little concerning in my eyes, because I think he should be in the bullpen, like, just in case if somebody gets hurt, God forbid, but so he's, like, ready to go. His arm's a little bit loose compared to just throwing him in and him being cold off the get-go. And we can't really afford him to be cold off the get-go.
I agree.
Like, I feel like that, like, even if it's after Cole, I feel like he should come in. Like, I was saying it the other night, like, when I was watching the game, like, after Cole pitched, I feel like that Stroman should have been the next pitcher to come in right behind him, other than Clay Holmes, because Clay Holmes only came in for 2 outs.
Yeah.
And then they went to Tim Hill right after, which he did phenomenal too, like right after him. But again, I feel like that if we had Stroman in that second hole behind Cole, you're able to use Stroman a little bit more. Maybe you could save either Hill or Tommy Canali for another night, possibly. But regardless, they both came in for like an inning each along with Weaver. But I think you could cut down the rotation a little bit from like 5 to 4. I feel like, but I don't think they're gonna do it at all. And it's unfortunate because I think that Stroman did have a strong season, and he has a strong case of him deserving, like, to at least be in the bullpen, I feel like. So now kicking it over to Queens. The New York Mets are playing the LA Dodgers. It's a 2-1 series. First game, they ended up losing 9-0. Second game, the Mets ended up winning 7-3. And then the third game, last night, the Mets ended up getting mollywopped again, 8-0. So I feel like that. And by the way, this was at home, 8-0, which is crazy. But I do feel like that loss was a big loss for them, especially at home, because you need all the home field advantage you can. Just to, like, now you got to go back to LA at some point. If you win tonight, and then you're in LA for Game 5, and I feel like the Dodgers would win that easily. But still rooting for the Mets for the time being because they're not playing the Yankees. And I feel like that it'd be an easier matchup for the Yankees, even though they have our number over the last, 2 seasons, I feel like. But everybody just needs to show up. That's all I can say, to be honest.
Yeah, to lose like that at home, like you said, is so embarrassing.
And, like, in 3 games, you only put up 7 runs, and that only came in Game 2. The Dodgers put up double the amount of numbers. Nearly double the amount of numbers.
I mean, we talked about this the last time we spoke about the Mets. It's like a momentum thing. Like, it's great when you have a win, but it doesn't do anything for you if you don't keep it going.
No, yeah, definitely, I agree. But I feel like that the Mets had the momentum coming into Game 3. And, like...
Well, I know. It just,
where'd it go?
Fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. But, like, I feel like the momentum's completely on the Dodgers side now. Yeah. Especially, like, tonight. Because tonight, Quintana's pitching for the Mets and Yamamoto's pitching for the Dodgers. So, I think that Yamamoto is the better pitcher between the two, in my opinion. But one thing I have to say is that for the Mets, they need to have base runners so they can end up scoring. Because scoring, like, you got to keep up with the Dodgers. Because 1 minute they'll be down, let's say, 2 points. Mm-hmm. And then the next inning they'll come back and end up scoring 5 more and they're up 3. So I think you have to keep up with them. And it's difficult to keep up with them because there's so many good hitters on the team. From Ohtani to Betts to Freddie Freeman, but he's injured right now at the moment. Even to Max Muncy, to be honest. And, like, on the Mets side, there's Vientos, who's still on fire, I feel like. Pete Alonso's okay right now, I feel like. And Alvarez is in a little bit of a slump right now, I feel like. But also, like, Lindor's been doing pretty solid, but again, everybody needs to be on their A game. But I do think that Freddie Freeman injury does help out the Mets a little bit because that's another big bat out of your lineup, and that he comes back the 18th. So if the Mets win tonight, going into LA for Game 5 to get him back, maybe they'll have some momentum going into LA. But what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think the Mets have, like, the opportunity to win if they applied themselves. Like, it's not, like, a guarantee. I think the Dodgers are in a better position to win, but I definitely think there are, like, weaknesses, like you've mentioned, that, like, the Mets can take advantage of, but it would just, like, be a matter of them actually taking advantage of them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You can have the tools, but, like, you gotta, like, actually, like, use them. And I think, like, they could do that. I feel like they did that a few games so far, but after, like, Game 3, it's kind of hard to tell if they're gonna be able to, like, pick back up that momentum they had.
Mm-hmm. Nah, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And then also, like, while facing the playoffs, you said to me before that the Mets are also being sued.
Yes, this is super niche because it's not big yet. I don't know if it will get huge, but basically, the New York Mets are being sued in a class action lawsuit for using AI. So I guess, like, Citi Field's, like, facial recognition. Fans, specifically, like, the one fan that's, like, at the forefront of this, like, class action lawsuit, Chris Dowling, he's suing on the basis that they're selling the facial recognition, like, data to, like, third-party vendors. Mm-hmm. And, like, obviously, like, there's no consent there. There's no, like, you know, they're profiting off of... The whole thing is, like, the Mets are profiting off of, like, their fans by selling their data unknowing to the fans. So, like I said, it's not, like, a huge thing yet. It'll probably get swept under the rug, I would assume. Like, I don't think it will become, like, a huge thing. But if it did, that would be bad. Because I feel like kind of like a phenomenon with most sports teams, specifically the ones in New York, is, like, your community base. I mean, like, it's Citi Field. If you get, like, this, like, becomes, like, a big thing, and then people are like, oh, I'm not going to Citi Field because, like, my data is going to get sold by a robot. Like, what? No. So, like, from a marketing standpoint, like, it'll probably be best if, like, that doesn't happen for them, but I don't think it's gonna blow up into anything. They'll probably like give them like a few $100s, like, you know what I mean, like
a few $100, like what, $500, and sweep it underneath the rug.
No, obviously not. Like, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I do think if it gets settled, it's gonna get settled with just like a reasonable amount of money, but not like anything
How much are they asking
to them.
for?
I don't know. I don't think they've gotten like that far into this. And also, like, they're suing, like, the owner of the Mets.
Oh, so Steve Cohen.
Yeah. Which also, like... Okay, so... It's 100,000 individuals, and it can amount to 5,000 per violation. But I don't know if violation is, like, per person, or if, like, violation is just, on their end. Especially because, like, most of those people are probably at Citi Field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the AI technology would have been used on all of them at the same time. You get what I'm saying?
So, from what time period is this from? Because a lot of different fans go in and out every single game. So, like, is it compensating all the fans if they are pleaded guilty? Or is it some sort of...
I don't know. The biometric identifier information law is from 2021. So I don't know if most of this is from like recent. But it's like been there. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know how long.
What year did you say this was from? 2021?
Like, the law about biometric facial recognition was passed in 2021. This is, like, recent. This, like, them being sued is, like, of this week.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is I don't know, like, the statute of, like, limitations for, like, this kind of, like, class action lawsuit. So I don't know if they're, like, claiming this to have happened, like, recently, or if they're just saying since, that's been installed, like, in general.
I wonder what happened to the guy that is suing the Mets for him to be suing them. Because you don't sue somebody for no reason.
I mean, he could just be, like, someone who was, like, the government's getting my information. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you tell anybody, like, oh, by the way, we're selling, like, your biometric, like, data to a third-party vendor, and you don't know who that third-party vendor is, like, I feel like an adult is gonna care way more about that than, like, a kid going to a game.
No, obviously.
Like, if we went to a game, like, are we really worried about that?
No,
like, with our friends? No. Like, no one we know in our circles would care. But I feel like adults, like, they probably don't like the sound of that.
I get what you're saying.
Follow it. It's so... The fact that there's so little, like, information on it now is why I keep saying I think it's just going to be swept under the rug. Because I don't think they would allow, from a marketing standpoint, this to become some, like, big thing. So they're probably going to settle it, like...
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they're probably going to settle it, pay them, like, a good enough amount of money, but not enough money that's going to be, like, damaging.
I get what you're saying.
Like, you know what I mean? Like... But who knows? I'm not really sure. This isn't, like, the first time the Mets have been sued.
When was the other time?
Back in, like, August of this year, this one woman sued them for $2 million because she wore a politically affiliated hat at Citi Field, and she, like, claims she got stopped from, like, being able to enter Citi Field, and she sued them for $2 million.
Did she end up winning that case, or?
It had to do with, like, the attire policy.
Okay.
And I think, like, she was apologized to, but I don't know if she, like, won, like, legally. From my understanding, she sued, but I think they might have, like, settled it outside of court.
Okay.
Which I think is exactly what will happen with this.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening with this. Considering there's really no evidence of them selling the information
Yeah.
to third parties.
But, just because you're pissing off your fans does not give you an excuse to do bad in the playoffs, even at home.
I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So, the New York Jets have obtained Davate Adams for a third-round pick in 2025. That can go up to a second-round pick, depending on if the Jets make it to the Super Bowl and or the AFC Championship game, and if he is on the roster by then, which I think he should be. I feel like, personally, this does nothing for the team. We still have the same shitty defensive line, and which is a bigger issue. Yes, it does help out the offense a little bit, but defensively, that's where the main focus point should be. Our offensive line's okay right now, considering we spent money on them this year. But the only thing I can say about the Davate Adams thing is that maybe it could groom Garrett to be more of that leader type and more of a slot threat instead of lining him up on the outsides now, which Davate Adams will play on. But again, that also kicks out Mike Williams, who we signed for a 1-year contract, out of the top 3 receivers right now on the team. Apparently, Diana Rossini said that the Saints, Steelers, and the Chargers have called for him again. And so, we're just 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. I don't know what's going to happen. I think we keep him rostered, I feel like, just in case of injury. But I think him having... I think that him being back with Rodgers again will continue their success. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of an explosive offense to an extent. Not creative, but if the ball ends up in his hands, he'll catch the ball, considering some of the guys don't because of the chemistry.
I mean, we talked last time saying, let's see if it's a coaching issue or a player issue. And I feel like Monday night's game, I swear I even heard an announcer say it. That or I, thought it in my head and just thought someone else was saying it. I think they, know they got their coach fired.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did.
Because they haven't been playing well to their best capabilities at all. And I feel like that was kind of apparent on Monday. There were a lot of times where, like you said, on-field chemistry, making those connections didn't happen. The ball just ended up, and I was like, who was that going to? Respectfully, where was there a player to catch that?
No, I agree. But also the thing is that, again, it's their first year together. It's going to take time. Not everything's going to come off right away.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, I don't know. I agree. I don't know if this trade is going to have, some, insane impact. But, you can hope.
I think hope is a little bit of a stretch there, in my opinion. But I do think that the offense did look better, and it did look a little more explosive, in my opinion, a little more creative. I felt like an offensive drive actually looked like an offensive drive, rather than it completely collapsing.
Yeah.
Instead of going fair. 3 and out. I think that Greg Zuerlein needs competition now in the building, considering he missed 2 big field goals, and that the game could have been sealed there.
Do you think that was because of the wind or not?
It's no excuse. You have to adjust.
I was thinking the same thing, because I was like, okay, you should know it being that windy out. Why are you still angling it so close? You know what I'm saying?
No, agreed.
You can't blame the wind for, that.
He hit the same upright twice.
Miss. Yeah, exactly.
On both misses. But, again, we could also point the blame at Breece Hall. If he cut inside on his 42-yard run, he would have scored. and that was the only man to beat, which I do blame the game on, unfortunately, because that just resulted in nothing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And that was big. I think fans knew that if he cut inside, he would have scored. If he didn't, he wouldn't. And that was the game right there. I do feel like that this week's going to be different against the Steelers, who are 4-2. They've announced that Russell Wilson's going to be starting for them instead of Justin Fields. And Fields came out and said if he played better, he would be starting this week. I think they're going to have some packages with Fields for him to run on Sunday. But also, the Jets had to prepare for both guys, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen.
You never know.
And I think that Hassan Reddick should be in this room. He should be a part of this team. He should be playing. Regardless of the situation is, make up, shake hands, call it a day, and get his ass on the field because it was deeply missed. And I'll say it here. Every time Clemens is on the field, 72, bad things happen. I've been saying it for the last season. He's just a statue, does not think he's terrible. Sums it up. If it's up to me, I'd cut him. But we can't because we have nobody else in the room right now. But yeah, get Reddick in here too. Then you also have Davate Adams, and just get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Supposedly this is an all-in year. Doesn't feel like an all-in year. Hopefully Davate Adams can help out, turn things around, but in my opinion, it's only to a certain extent.
I agree.
And that is a wrap. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Bearcat Den. Make sure you tune in next week for more. See ya.